Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign has fired roughly a dozen staffers, and more are expected in the coming weeks as he shakes up his big-money political operations after less than 2 months on the campaign trail. Those who were let go were described to NBC News by a source familiar as mid-level staffers across several departments whose departures were related to cutting costs. The exits come after the departures of David Abrams and Tucker Obenshain, veterans of DeSantis' political orbit, which were first reported by Politico. Sources involved with the DeSantis campaign say there is an internal assessment among some that they hired too many staffers too early, and despite bringing in $20 million during its first 6 weeks, it was becoming clear their costs needed to be brought down. Some in DeSantis' political orbit are laying the early blame at the feet of campaign manager Janera Peck, who also led DeSantis' 2022 midterm re-election bid and is in the hot seat right now. She should be, one DeSantis donor said. They never should have brought so many people on, the burn rate was way too high, said one Republican source familiar with the campaign's thought process. People warned the campaign manager, but she wanted to hear none of it. DeSantis stock isn't rising, the donor added. 20% is not what people signed up for. The person noted that DeSantis has a penchant for switching out staff, which means that he has no core team that has worked together before. DeSantis had 3 different campaign teams for each of his 3 runs for Congress, and notably had a huge campaign shakeup during his first run for governor in 2018. DeSantis' campaign had 92 people listed as being on the payroll for at least some period of time during its first fundraising period, according to campaign finance reports filed Saturday with the Federal Election Commission. It is by far the most of any Republican presidential candidate, and it has left his campaign with huge payroll expenses and, the new filings show, fewer resources than originally thought. DeSantis has $12 million in the bank, but of that $3 million can be used only during the general election. And about $14 million of his total $12 million second quarter haul came from donors who gave the maximum legal amount. In other words, roughly 2/3 of his early donors will not be able to give directly to his campaign for the duration of the race. Never Back Down, the pro-DeSantis super PAC, has said it will spend up to $200 million to boost the governor's White House bid and has a significantly larger staff than the official campaign. The moment of potential reset comes ahead of a National Finance Committee meeting for DeSantis' campaign Sunday in Tallahassee, which will bring the campaign's brain trust together as they try to figure out how to chip into Trump's massive GOP primary lead. The event will include a briefing at the campaign's Tallahassee headquarters followed by a barbecue at the governor's mansion, according to an invite reviewed by NBC News. DeSantis has been unable to make up ground against Trump after nearly 2 months as an official candidate. That stagnation is starting to frustrate some supporters, who want a shakeup of the campaign, which is led day-to-day by Peck and Ryan Tyson, a longtime Republican Florida pollster. Yeah, there are people grumbling about it, no doubt, one DeSantis donor said. There is an overall sense, including with me, that he just has not ignited the way we thought he would. The person said that they think DeSantis' inner circle underestimated just how hard and expensive it would be to break the grip on the Republican base held by Trump, who has a commanding lead and is seen as the overwhelming frontrunner. Even in Florida, a state that re-elected DeSantis by nearly 20 percentage points just 7 months ago, Trump now has his own 20-point lead on DeSantis, according to a Florida Atlantic University poll released last week. The shakeup could include the re-emergence of Phil Cox, the veteran Republican operative who helped run DeSantis' 2022 re-election campaign and served as an advisor to Never Back Down before stepping away from that role in late May. Cox is in Tallahassee for the national finance meeting, but he does not have a formal role with the campaign, a source familiar told NBC News. DeSantis has signaled that he is aware his campaign did not start the way he wanted, but has largely blamed media coverage and other outside factors. To try and recenter, his campaign is doubling down on the early states, especially Iowa, whose first-in-the-nation nominating contest is now seen as a crucial marker. If DeSantis wins, the field will get smaller and he will get closer to the one-on-one matchup with Trump that he wants. But losing the key state would likely cement Trump's status as the unbeatable frontrunner even further. That assessment was outlined in a confidential internal memo NBC News obtained Friday outlining the campaign's strategy to regain its footing. The memo indicated that there would be a heavy focus on early states where, DeSantis advisors think, Trump supporters can be won over. Early state voters are only softly committed to the candidates they select on a ballot question this far out, including many Trump supporters, read the memo. Our focus group participants in the early states even say they do not plan on making up their mind until they meet the candidates or watch them debate. Never Back Down is bolstering those efforts, focusing both on early states and a handful of Super Tuesday states, most notably California, where the group is expected to hire roughly 80 organizers in the near future. For some supporters, though, there are now 3 keys to DeSantis remaining viable: Iowa, Iowa, Iowa. They need to treat it like it's all that matters right now, the DeSantis donor said. If Trump wins it is over. It means he needs to be there a lot. He needs to do all the retail politics he can. The person said DeSantis' wife, Casey, is a great asset when doing the sort of retail politicking needed to win Iowa, but DeSantis himself needs to improve. He needs to find that gear, the person said. He needs to find it fast.